Karl Arthur von Rydingsvärd was born in 1863 on a farm in Sweden. His hometown, Farglanda, was located in a sparsely populated area of Sweden's Dalsland. The von Rydingsvärd family endured many hardships of rural life. Karl's father and mother had to rely on their 9 children to maintain their family's farmland. During economic hardship in Sweden, the von Rydingsvärds opened a small store to try and make ends meet. To support their family, each of the von Rydingsvärd children learned to use local materials available to them to make tools, farming equipment, cabinets, textiles, and other household items, some of which were sold at Rydingsvärd's store. Karl learned to carve ornate furniture while his siblings created things like decorative paintings and colorful textiles. When Karl was just a young schoolboy, he gained hands-on experience with woodcarving. The educational system at the time in Sweden championed education in handicraft and manual training. This approach had a profound impact on Rydingsvärd's life and work. He later went on to teach similar methods of instruction to hundreds of pupils in America. Though the von Rydingsvärd family lived in poverty, Farglanda was situated within a richly natural and historic setting. As a young boy, Karl was surrounded by abundant waterways, forests, and mountains, and the area's local Swedish culture dated back to the Neolithic Age. This was a place that had been traversed by Vikings, coastal merchants, and European tradespeople for thousands of years. Surrounded by Sweden's history, Karl became fascinated with Viking art and Norse iconography as his carving skills improved. But the family battled ongoing poverty, hunger, and illness in spite of their efforts. Karl and his remaining brothers all left to pursue better lives beginning in 1874. At just 15 years of age, Karl left his family's home for Stockholm, Sweden in the late 1870s, where he worked alongside local woodcarvers and trained to become a decorative sculptor. By the time he left Sweden for America in 1883, Karl was so well versed in his craft that he immediately secured employment as a decorative sculptor with Herder Brothers in New York City. One of the most important influences during Karl von Rydingsvärd's lifetime was the arts and crafts movement. The arts and crafts movement developed first in Europe in 1880 and spread to the United States by the 1900s, where it remained popular until about 1910. The movement emphasized the importance of handicrafted domestic art, and it was intimately tied to the beautification of everyday home life. In Sweden, the artistic movement fostered a unique sense of national identity that contributed to the movement's overall aesthetics. Sweden's own regional interpretation of the movement glorified the region's ancient history and promoted the simple life. This led to a revival of traditional handicraft within Sweden. Karl von Rydingsvärd was fortunate to have immersed himself in Norse motifs and ancient Viking symbols since he was a young boy, all of which became part of his signature style. In addition to the work he made, one of von Rydingsvärd's most lasting legacies was his career as a teacher of the woodcarving arts to many students in New England, particularly women. In America, domestic painting, needlework, and ceramic decoration were acceptable art forms for women to practice, since these were usually tied to the beautification of the home. Using carpenter's tools and manual work to build and carve furniture was still considered solely a man's domain. Borrowing from the same educational approach taught to him in Sweden, von Rydingsvärd defied social and gender norms of the era to educate and train students in the making of useful and beautiful items. For nearly 20 years, his classes were packed with women. He empowered women to not only engage their hands and mind, but to take pride in the work and participate in training for woodcarving careers. This was very rare, as women had not yet even won the right to vote in America at the time. Although Karl von Rydingsvärd decided to focus on his own work after 1901, his progressive approach to making the woodcarving arts more accessible left an important mark on the history of American craft, and the Hermitage is part of that history. From 1900 through the 1920s, Karl von Rydingsvärd completed some of his finest arts and crafts pieces for an impressive list of clients. A lucrative slate of private commissions, including those for Florence and William Sloane of Norfolk, kept him busy throughout the 1920s. The Sloanes and von Rydingsvärds had a mutual artist friend, Douglas Volk of New York and Maine. Although Volk was an American portrait painter, he and his family held similar passionate views on the importance of handicraft and surrounded themselves with it, particularly throughout the interiors of their respective homes, much of the hand-carved work done by von Rydingsvärd himself. Beginning in 1917, Florence Sloane befriended and commissioned Karl von Rydingsvärd to carve and furnish interior and exterior elements for her own home, the Hermitage, resulting in a rich blend of Norse, Scandinavian, English, and revival-inspired interpretations of American woodcarving arts of the time. He completed several furniture pieces for the Sloanes. In 1938, Karl von Rydingsvärd suffered lingering physical ailments from a car accident he and his wife were involved in. His work slowed considerably. He and his wife Ida lived out the rest of their days quietly in their home in Portland, Maine. Unfortunately, a grass fire erupted at their beloved home in 1941, and Karl died following injuries sustained while trying to put out the fire. Following his death, he was remembered throughout Maine and many New England craft towns as a leader of local arts and crafts communities, and for his lifelong teaching efforts to make the woodcarving arts more accessible. His legacy lives on among special collections, some of which are held at the American Swedish Historical Museum and in private collections. Although Karl von Rydingsvärd is less well-known compared to other leaders of the arts and crafts period, he remains an important artist to the Hermitage because he contributed significantly to its iconic development from the 19-teens through the 1920s. He developed his own unique version of the arts and crafts aesthetic, one that intuitively combined his ancestral Swedish heritage with popular arts and crafts ideals. His work is distinctive, clever, and artistic in approach. He not only possessed exceptional craftsmanship in wood carving, but he blurred the line between furniture and art without compromising function. The Hermitage is proud to be among the few organizations to display and share von Rydingsvärd work right here in Norfolk, Virginia.